lose weight, gain muscle, or just improve your overall health, there's no shortage of pills and powders that promise to do the trick. Dietary supplements are a booming business, operating out in the open but with little oversight. In part 2 of this week's Focus Report, we look at the debate over the risks and rewards of dietary supplements. WGBH News reporter Stephanie Leiden has our story.
Like many of the health-conscious regulars here at Evolve Fitness in Framingham, Allie Stratner caps off her workout with a stop at the juice bar.
This is my personal favorite. I get a strawberry banana protein shake.
Blended into her smoothie, a scoop of protein powder. That powder, like all dietary supplements, is either a key to enhancing health or a potential health hazard. Do you think the protein makes a difference?
I do, because when you work out and you have your anabolic window after you work out and you drink protein, it's really going to help with the muscles.
This gym crowd also has the option of buying supplements in bulk. Canister labels offer the promise of things like lean, hard gains. With an estimated half of all Americans taking some kind of dietary supplement, the marketing appears to be effective.
I remember being a skinny kid and looking at all the guys in the magazines.
27-year-old Greg Gerner, a personal trainer at Evolve Fitness, started adding protein and energy supplements to his diet at age 16. The transformation is dramatic. That skinny teenager is gone. Gerner now looks like the bodybuilding competitor he aspires to become.
Could you achieve that without the supplements, or is that part of what it takes to look the way you do?
I mean, it's obviously helped me in kind of reaching, my personal fitness goals.
Gerner encourages fitness clients interested in adding supplements to their diet to consult with a doctor first.
I played a game of 20 questions when people came in for just one fat burner. How's your blood pressure? How's everything doing? Just better safe than sorry, right?
And that's at the heart of the debate around Allie Stratner's protein shake, safety. Critics say when it comes to the $32 billion a year dietary supplement industry,
buyer beware.
Dr. Raymond Chung is the medical director of the liver transplant program at Massachusetts General Hospital.
The herbal and dietary supplement industry does not go through anywhere near the kind of scrutiny that prescription drugs do, or for that matter, even over-the-counter medications do.
And Chung says at an increasing rate, consumers looking to lose weight or generally improve health instead end up hospitalized.
One example that I recall was of someone taking a fat burner or muscle building supplement called Hydroxycut. And it turns out that this supplement contains an extract in fairly high concentrations that ended up being toxic to the liver.
A National Institutes of Health 9-year survey linked supplements to 136 reported cases of liver toxicity nationwide. 11 of those cases resulted in liver transplants, 3 were fatal. And labels are not always clear. Just last week, the Food and Drug Administration issued an advisory urging consumers not to use a product called Full Throttle on Demand because it contains the active ingredient found in the sexual enhancement drug Viagra.
The FDA and other agencies should go after those companies. We're fully in favor of those companies being shut down.
Michael Cantor and his wife Elizabeth Stagel have been selling dietary supplements at their store Cambridge Naturals for 40 years.
We've never had any products banned because they were harmful or dangerous, and we've never had any complaints in our entire history.
Cantor knows many of the people who manufacture the supplements he sells. He also makes an effort to get to know his customers.
If you come to a reputable store like ours where we research the products, make sure the companies are ethical and honest, and know how to put together products so that they work for people, then I think you can feel safe.
But back at Evolve Fitness, not everyone is buying into the benefits of dietary supplements. Director of Training Kevin Perry, a certified nutritionist, offers his clients some old-fashioned health advice.
I say eat healthy, eat 5-6 square meals a day and you'll be fine.
And unlike over-the-counter medications like a cough suppressant or a pain reliever, Emily, there's no requirement that these dietary supplements indicate what the proper dosage should be or if there might be any adverse reactions if you mix them with another medication.
And what's the story? Why why aren't they regulated? And are there some people who just shouldn't take them at all?
Well, the question of regulation goes back to 1994 when they were essentially deregulated, although the FDA does have oversight. And in terms of who might have an adverse reaction, that's anyone's guess. You and I could take the same supplement, and because of an underlying genetic condition, or if I'd been dieting and not getting the proper nutrition, I might have an adverse reaction where you'd be fine.
Right.
So it depends.
Stephanie, thanks for that.
You're welcome.
All right, well, my next guest heads up a trade association for the makers of dietary supplements. Dan Fabricant is CEO of the Natural Products Association. Welcome to Greater Boston. So the question I just asked Stephanie, why shouldn't these products be regulated, at least the way over-the-counter drugs are, like aspirin or something like that?
They are regulated. They're regulated as a category of food. Dietary supplements are vitamins, minerals, amino acids, the same things you would find in produce. So the regulations for dietary supplements coming off working at FDA for the past few years, there are certainly regulatory tools that the agency use.
Excuse me, but they're not necessarily the same things you'd find in produce.
But actually the regulations...
Like Viagra and some of those things?
Yeah, but those are drugs. Those aren't dietary supplements. Those are already illegal. You can't put a drug in something that's not approved as a drug. So that's not as much about the dietary supplement industry. That's somebody selling a drug using a dietary supplement to masquerade their criminal intent.
What about truth in advertising, lean gain, I mean, all these kinds of things that some of the product packaging says that it's going to do for you if you take these supplements?
Well, manufacturers of dietary supplements are required to have substantiation that supports their claims. It's already against the law for products to make claims that are not truthful and misleading. So the agency does take action against those products. Also, the Federal Trade Commission takes action against those when they're in advertising.
Well, what about those ones in the gym? Those were true? That was all true advertising?
Well, the claims were legitimate within the structure of the law. You can make what are called structure function claims, which says that the product supports a healthy diet, things like that. So it's certainly well within the law, and that's what consumers are interested in.
All right, let's bring in Dr. Peter Cohn. He's a primary care specialist who teaches at Harvard Medical School. So you advocate, Peter, for a greater regulation of the industry, but Dan says it already is.
I'm not sure what Dan's referring to, but from my perspective, there's a bunch of fundamental problems with the regulation of supplements in the United States. Number one is that structure function claim you were just discussing. The law says you're allowed to advertise like this. So basically, as long as you stay away from saying this is going to cure a disease or prevent diabetes, you're absolutely fine to basically say anything you want to. And then the problem is that you don't have to show the FDA one iota of information that the supplement works before it arrives on store shelves.
What's your take on, like the young gal Allison, who says, my anabolic metabolism, I want to take some kind of a protein powder. Is protein powder as good as actually having protein from some other source, like peanuts or meat or something?
I'm not aware of a single study that shows that having protein that's been processed and manufactured in a big factory is better than eating eggs and meat and other natural sources of protein. So when I'm talking to my patients, I always advocate for using whole foods, diverse whole food diet, rather than moving to a manufactured supplement.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I can understand why you don't want to get the government involved. Nobody wants to get the government to get involved in a business. But does it bother you at all, Dan, that there seems to be this crossover? I mean, even in the couple of gyms that we went to the natural food store. They seem to be very, very cautious about what kinds of products they take. Some of the gyms, not so much. Does that bother you for your industry's sake?
The government is involved. I mean, it is regulated. Very strong GMPs, good manufacturing practices, adverse event reporting. The adverse event reporting, actually, that requirement came in with over-the-counter drugs. So in a lot of ways, the assertion that there's not the same level of regulation isn't really accurate.
Is that accurate? I mean,
that's not my take on it. My take is that let's compare food with supplements for a moment. If we take a look at what's the safety requirements for the preservative that's sprayed into a can of tomato sauce before you put in the tomato sauce, just that preservative. The requirements of safety for that spray, that preservative, is higher level of scrutiny of that ingredient than the ingredients that are in dietary supplements. So although it is, Dan's correct that it's under the umbrella of food, the scrutiny of the ingredients in food is actually higher and more rigorous than in dietary supplements.
You know what everybody really wants to know here? is this snake oil or does it work? I mean, you know, can you look at me with a straight face and say all of these supplements, including, by the way, vitamins, actually work the way they say they're supposed to?
I can tell you that 180 million Americans at least every day
That's
use
not a question of who
supplements.
takes them.
Well, it's a question
work?
of every day people do this as something for their health and well-being.
People do a lot of things for their health and well-being with no proof that it works, including praying.
Well, people also eat food, and this is regulated as a component of food. It's regulated to supplement the diet. I think, you know, folks have more demands on their time than ever before, so it's not surprising that the top-selling supplement is something like a multivitamin, where people are really looking at how they are supplementing their diet.
Yeah, so they're counting on it to work, but I guess I'm asking you, do you know if it does?
There's a lot of literature, a lot of clinical literature. The government sponsors and pays for a lot of clinical research. Clinicaltrials.gov is a great source. There's also the Office of Dietary Supplements at NIH, where they funded clinical trials to look at efficacy.
That's what we want to know. Does it work?
Dietary supplements are incredibly important to health. I recommend them all the time in my clinical practice, absolutely.
Like what?
Like, for example, multivitamins are key if people are having trouble with absorption, have had surgery of the stomach, for example. Or iron is essential if you're deficient in iron. And likewise, if you can't take enough calcium in your food, supplementing it with calcium. So there's absolutely a lot of reasons, but these are all reasons that are best to talk to your doctor about and are based on treating diagnosable problems. The only exception to that I can think of is really folic acid for women of childbearing age. And supplementing that's fantastic.
All right. I wish we had more time because this is a lot to sort through. There's a lot of products out there. Thank you so much for coming up all the way from Washington, D.C.
Thanks
Dan
for having
Fabricant and Peter Cohen.
My pleasure. Thanks.
All right. Well, last night we looked at the perceptions and prevalence of steroid use.
The media coverage of sports people encourages, not discourages, kids from taking steroids. We got the opposite going on.
All right.
But is the use is epidemic mean that there's consequences that are epidemic? And that's the thing that I think that we get. That's a trap, another trap that we're caught in.
You can watch that conversation and all our focus reports on our website. Just visit WGBHnews.org.